Now on RB Comics Radio, striking justice in the hearts of evil that lurks within the city of Memphis. The Spectre, protector of Memphis.
I want to tell you a story. A narrative that will take you into the mind of a madman and the detective trying to catch him. Someone so sick and twisted that he obsessively lived his life through prose. Imagine becoming so disillusioned and disconnected with the real world that you withdraw into the land of fiction, that you can never get out. You can never see things in more than black and white. This is that story. A bit quiet tonight.
Hello everyone. I want to say thank you for your help today. These are testing times for the city. Through your help and commitment, we are shutting down some of the biggest criminals one by one. Get home and get some rest. We'll start again tomorrow. Good day.
Thanks, boss. See you tomorrow.
Got a little brown spot on that nose, amigo.
I spend so much of my time in these four walls. It's become a second home. After everyone has left, it's me. Just me and the mugshots on the wall of our next targets. For the first time in a long time, it feels like we're winning the battle against crime. As I shut the doors to leave for the night, I kick something that's been placed at the front of the door. It's a red shoebox with a black ribbon tied around. I tear the box open and see that there's a leather-bound book inside. The type authors get for selling so many copies. It's not by a writer I've heard of. Fatal Prose by Larry Barbeau. I place it in my bag and head home. Strange gift from the boys, no doubt. I'll read it later. Ionie.
Hey, wasn't expecting you yet. Quiet day?
Quiet enough to see your face again.
Is my face loud?
Not unless we're busy doing other things. Otherwise, not much happening tonight. We finished another case. Bonus points for solving it before that Spectre character. Feels like it's becoming a competition.
No one thinks that. Just you.
So I'm crazy.
Always. But you know I'll be there with a can of spray paint to help you out.
You are never letting that go.
Till heaven or hell takes us both. Even then, and no promises.
Hey, where's James?
Sleeping over with Tara for the weekend.
So the usual.
I'm just wondering when they're finally going to come out to us.
When they're good and ready.
I hope it ain't too soon before I get grandbabies.
Yeah. Wait, for what? Mind on the mission, DeAngelo. Mind on the mission. Ionie. Always keeping me on my guard. My duty as an officer doesn't always allow for levity. But she tends to bring it to my home every day. Speaking of levity, suppose I'd better have a look at this book the boys left for me. No doubt some ridiculous sex book to spice up the marriage. That or a self-help book on how to solve my greatest mystery, inner peace. They think they're so funny. A quote starts the book. How very Stephen King.
I knew that someday I was going to die, and that when I died, two things would happen to me. Number one, I would regret my entire life. And number two, I would want to live my life over again. From an interview with American novelist Hubert Selby Jr., 1928 to 2004.
Bleak start.
Is a struggling writer still a writer? Writer's block cripples the best of us. I think God did that to me when he wrote my life. Not really finding anything more interesting than abuse and torture. I vaguely remember the taunts of my classmates echoing through the locker room. Or was that the water in my ears from all the swirlies? I think there was a time my blood was used as paint against the rotting walls of the house. My father's fist always covered in red. I forget why. Isn't that how most writers start? A way to escape from the everyday chore that was existence? It seems perverse to admit it now, but without all that, I don't think I'd have amounted to anything. I used the sheer pain of existence to craft some of the best stories I've ever concocted. But now there's something wrong. I need help. This will be my final story.
Well, I guess whatever gets the book off the shelves.
Honey, you coming up?
On my way.
Don't be too long.
Hey, have you ever heard of Larry Barbeau?
Ugh. Even when you're trying to get off at home, you get on work.
Sorry, I found this book from a Barbeau at the station. Apparently he's some writer.
Doesn't ring any bells. He a suspect or something?
Not yet.
Well, why don't you leave the cop talk at the station and concentrate on me while we have the chance?
Well, I guess since I'm getting off at work. So I can't sleep. Something about that book is bothering me. Maybe Ionie was right. Cop brain won't shut off. Maybe if I read some more, it'll put my mind at ease.
You know what's really interesting that I finally figured out? The odd thing that took me, painting my own walls red. I think he's been right all along about my happiness. Temporary, it was. About how my happy life has held me back from what I could have, what I can be. This writer's block is getting worse. He's talking to me again. My wife, she's sleeping now. Her once bright green eyes have now turned a cloudy gray as red stains the walls again. I've already made the kids sleep quick, turning on the oven, leaving a wire open. This is fine. We're going to be just fine. 1984. It's 1984. Mary's 6th birthday was today.
That's too specific. Too real. Cop brain or not, we're having this checked out. Yes, I'm going to need something tested. A cold case. Sometime in 1984. Alright, I'll be there in the morning. Officer Fendel, is Aileen here?
I think Miss Aileen is, there, now actually. What are you here for?
Just need something looked at. Cold case from the 80s.
Ah, that's going to be pretty hard from being so long ago.
Well, I've solved older with less. How's your private investigation into the, actress?
Not great. I've looked everywhere I could. But ever since the incident with the jumper, I can't find her.
Just don't let it consume your average paperwork. I'll be seeing you at the station, Fendel.
Yes, sir.
Don't call me sir.
DeAngelo, I wasn't expecting a stiff from you. Unless you got something else for me.
Keep talking, Aileen. I've got you a little present.
A present? A Bible? Oh, Dee, that's sweet, but my immortal soul is too tainted for salvation.
Not a Bible, a novel, or at least what I think is a novel.
You don't sound very sure.
I'm not sure. I found it at the police station door the other night. At first, it seemed like nothing, but something's off. Think you could get any prints or DNA?
It's gonna be hard since it's been in your hands and at your house, but I can try. There's no telling where this... Oh! Is this a Larry Barbeau book?
Do you know him?
My mom's a big reader, you know? She has a few of his books on her shelf, and he's written a lot.
Maybe you can get her to tell me if it's one of his. If you can't call me about the publisher, call Alejandro. I'll be on my desk drinking coffee. Lots and lots of coffee.
Okay, leave it to me. It'll take a couple hours, okay?
No problem. Oh, and Aileen. Keep this quiet for now, huh? Just you and me.
You know me better. I mean, you take a selfie with a body once.
So, Barbeau was a real author after all. Hopefully Aileen can find out who left the book there, and more importantly, why he left it there.
Hija de puta! I'm his partner, not his errand boy. Jeez. I miss home. The high stakes, the fun partners, that spandex. On the other hand, the ladies here aren't the worst I've ever seen. Hola, señorita. I'm Alejandro Diaz from MPD Homicide. I believe I have an appointment with Mr. Foot.
Oh, yes. I have you here for 12:30. Just take a seat and fill out this questionnaire.
Why, if I can ask?
Oh, right. I give these out so often, it feels like it's self-explanatory. Mr. Foot gives these to all the writers that come in to meet him. It helps him figure out how to properly judge your book, and you're trying to pitch it without judging too much. I mean, he did that once a long time ago with a really famous story that sold billions now. Oh boy, was that doggy mad.
Really? How long ago?
Oh, way before you took your first steps, Derry.
Well, it can't be that long ago. You can't be a day over 20.
I take good care of my skin, and this job pays very well for other things.
Oh, really? I like to get to know those other things. Say, at dinner.
Oh, you're just a little can, aren't you? I swear if I wasn't married, I'd eat you alive. Shit! Henry, can you be a darling and just get that, please? We need to have this place spick and span if we're going to get more clients soon.
Well, maybe you didn't knock over every glass with them massive...
Now finish that sentence.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Looks like he's ready for you. Good luck.
Yes, thank you. Story of my life.
Hello, I'm Gabriel Foot. I believe that you had some inquiries about a book that was published here. Pardon me. I can't get through this vape craze without a good cigar in my hand.
Dios mío! It's fine. I just have a few questions about a story called Prose by one Larry Barbeau.
How do you know about that one?
A published work of it was found at the police station.
That book was supposed to be his latest book before he disappeared. Hasn't even been published.
I have a few pictures of book bindings and contents here on my phone if you would be willing to look.
No, this isn't the same draft he gave us. The hardcover looks like one of ours, but look here, the stitching here at the book binding. The slight unevenness at the spine. Looks like an amateur.
I see. But you said something about how this wasn't the draft he gave you.
Yeah. The story was supposed to be about a woman who was going into postpartum depression, writing a suicide note all about the abuse she reflected on her kids. supposedly based on his late wife's experience.
His late wife?
Yeah, beautiful little thing. Met her a few times back in the early 80s. Here they are. Nice life, safe, beautiful kids. Shame about the fire, though. It really took a toll on him, especially since it was on Mary's birthday.
How did the fire marshal rule?
It was a few things, actually. The kids were dead before the fire started from carbon monoxide, and everybody assumed the wife did too. Apparently there was faulty wiring in the master bedroom.
Why didn't the wife catch it?
She was going through some rough times of her own. With losing the last baby, she took so many drugs to help her sleep. Half her days were spent either in bed or in the bathroom.
That must have been hard on them.
Well, you know how it was. A man couldn't just stop working. The wife had her maids to talk to, though some of them still didn't say a lick of English. No offense. He seemed like one of the good ones.
What do you mean couldn't stop?
I mean, he just couldn't stop. If anything, he buried himself in his work, giving me book after book. Some sold, some didn't. Some quality, some I'm pretty sure are illegal in some states. A lot of Elaine stuff. Until about 89, he just disappeared.
This was the last book?
It was supposed to be. Then the bastard disappeared. I got the original draft here, if you want to take it into evidence.
Huh? Why did you keep it here all these years?
Well, I figured he died. So when you pigs finally got out of your pens, you'd have enough to start on.
Esta pinchazo insible, si yo no fuera un policía tan la menta para quitarme la mierda de este pequeño racista. Gracias. I'll make sure that this gets into evidence as soon as possible. Those questionnaires.
Yes?
Do you still have the one from Mr. Barbeau?
Hey, boss. I got some good news and I got some bad news for you.
Go on.
No fingerprints there other than yours on the book. That's the bad news.
And the good.
This is a genuine Barbeau novel. My mother, she cast her eyes over a few times, and she's sure of it. Same prose style, same description pattern. However, she's never really heard of this book, so it's either a heavily inspired one or a rough draft that was never published.
And the publisher.
Not my department, cutie. Sorry. Call me up when you got a stiffy for me. Oh, look, it's Juani Bravo. Seen any good gaga lately?
Hey, I didn't see you at mi sobrino's party last weekend. The clown makeup is still there.
When are they going to just end our suffering and just, you know?
How much do you want to pull? And for how long?
After exhausting investigation and the piles of evidence from Mr. Foot up his ass, not the same book that we have. Originally, it was supposed to be a depressed mother, but this is way off script. Book publishing is also a bust. Turns out it was Frankenstein together by an amateur.
So we're back at square one.
I'd probably have said the same thing. Even said you're smelling smoke when there's just a candle, until I found out something interesting.
What?
Wife and children died in a horrible house fire 5 years before he went missing. Barely anything left of him. They concluded it was some sort of electrical fire, but it seemed too convenient.
What do you mean?
Despite the bodies being close to nothing left, a lung of one of the kids tested positive from monoxide poisoning, and the wife barely moved from the fire despite it being on her bed.
Was she medicated?
Yes, but not on anything that would make her that unresponsive.
You're suggesting foul play?
All the signs are there. Reportedly, Larry had an alibi for that night being with his underage mistress, then at the bar the rest of the night.
Does she have a name?
Yes, name's Heather Daria. She's on the corner of Poplar Ave and Evergreen in Midtown.
This isn't even a case yet. But this is still worth investigating. There are too many errors, so many inconsistencies. What's going on? Diaz, get ready. We're heading over there now.
All right. Found the kids before the Spectre could find it. Nice.
Diaz, don't let me break my promise to not shoot you. I have to stop by the house to pick up James from Tara's. It's a school night.
Oh, lighten up. It's nice to get a hero around here. You have any idea how much more engaging it is here now? We're understaffed, sure, but having a hero to back you up can be fun. You should see that setup in LA. Oh man, the emergency response time.
I've more or less blocked out what he said after that first hero statement. I don't have time for that sort of nonsense.
I remember the toys that they always played with. How he would play with them, but no one seemed to notice. Like the ghost that he was. I remember the wife petting his hair like a pet. I hated it. The happy smiles, the complacency, the constant knowledge that there's nothing I can do to change the end that is coming here. I can see him in the flames. I can see everything. He's pointing at me, reaching towards me. It's not the same, though. It's saying that's what we should do, isn't it? This is the path to go. I don't know anything anymore. I can't know anything anymore. Happiness. It wasn't something we're used to. The plush bosom of the peaceful life seemed so arbitrary and empty compared to the stained walls of the past. It's so easy, though. A cut wire. A gas leak to the stove. So easy. Every night leaving me in stitches, but I can't stop. He can't stop. The man in the cloak can't stop. Everything is inevitable, so why stop?
Hopefully this Heather can give us a little more information. Is the prose starting to change?
Hi, Mr. Jordan.
Hello, Kara.
It's Tara, Dad.
How is the dynamic duo doing, eh?
Nothing much, just figuring out the wonderful world of Punnett squares. Seriously, when are we ever gonna use that?
I don't really know.
What's with the box?
An ongoing investigation.
Well, I guess I'll talk to you later. Make sure you get some studying done.
What? What are... Oh, right. Yes, I'll make sure to send my notes, a little later when I get home.
See you later.
What are you studying for?
Pop quiz this week. It's on Africa in April for a music appreciation class.
How is it a pop quiz if you know it's coming?
The teacher tends to keep us on our toes whenever possible.
I don't understand why you need that class anyway.
Mom thought it was important that I have a creative outlet.
On top of basketball practices, school events, and everything else?
Are you going to argue with her?
Hell no.
So, what's this case you're working on?
Nothing for you to worry about.
Oh, come on, Dad. How will I ever be able to fulfill my lifelong dream of being the best investigative of...
James, you know if there's anything in this world I truly despise, it's vigilantes, reporters, and your grandma Sophie.
What's wrong with the Abuela Sophie?
Don't ask. It's not even a real investigation. Just looking into something sent to the police station.
What was it?
A book full of drama, murder, and twists suitable for telenovela. It's probably a false lead.
But it's still worth investigating.
So you're following a lead?
Maybe.
Are you going to be late for dinner tonight?
Yes, I probably won't be home until late. Tell your mom I'll be home by 10 or later.
Will do, sir.
Don't call me sir.
Love you too. I've got those notes.
I was wondering when you were going to get back to me. So then spill. What's your dad working on?
I'm honestly not sure. Dad said that it wasn't even a real case, but...
But? That sounds like a big, bouncing butt you're trailing off there.
I'm going to ignore that. My dad doesn't normally follow leads that aren't there, unless he's got a gut feeling about it.
But what about you?
Well, it's definitely a feeling. Can you look up Larry Barbeau within the last, 30 years?
A cold case. Sounds different. I like it.
Well, it's been slow. So, let's dig up some history.
I'm so sorry about the mess, detectives. My grandkids were over for the afternoon and they basically trashed the place. Kids these days.
Not at all, Mom.
So, how can I help you, officers?
We're examining a cold case from your old neighborhood in 84. What can you tell us about a Mr. Larry Barbeau?
Larry? What did you want to know about him?
You were his alibi for the house fire that killed his family.
Oh, yeah. I remember that fire. I was supposed to be picking up the kids for school. It was just awful. My mother shook me awake and brought me down the stairs in my nightgown. The fire was so hot. A lot of us had to look away.
What were you doing with Mr. Barbeau so late at night?
Well, I mean, it was such a long time ago, I can barely remember the parts of that night.
But you just said...
I said I remember the fire. It's been close to 30 years and I was 16.
Mr. Gabriel Foote said that you and Barbeau may have sexual relations.
Oh, that old fart. You could show that man anything, and he could make some outlandish story about it. I guess that comes with being a writer, doesn't it?
But Barbeau listed you as part of his alibi.
Right. That was Thursday, wasn't it? Thursday was always date night for them, and he was taking me home, but that's all that happened.
What time was that?
Oh, I don't know. It was late, though. I can tell you that. It couldn't have been later than 2 in the morning.
Why so late?
I think they were fighting on the way home or something like that. Look, I don't know what else to tell you about that night. I wasn't even there when it started.
I know this might seem strange, but do you know where Larry Barbeau is?
Dead? Probably. I wouldn't be surprised, though, with how many times he went missing before.
He's gone missing before?
Every other month, I think. He would take these long trips out in the woods, I think. About what to write next. My mother thought he was having an affair.
An affair? You wouldn't have been told with whom.
No. She never flat out said it, just kind of implied it. Back then, people were private about that kind of thing, and it was much easier to keep a secret like that from people.
Are you sure that there isn't anything you remember from back then? A family, friend, a co-worker, milkmaid? Anything that would be useful.
No. I'm sorry. My mother was the only one who knew anything about that.
Do you know where we can find her?
I'm afraid my mother, Suzanne, died last year. We spread her ashes on New Year's.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't be. She was one hell of a woman. Had me practically by herself.
Your father wasn't around?
No. I was told my father died back in the war. They say MIA, but we all know where there's too much jungle out there to really keep track. I'm sorry to cut this short, but I just remembered that I need to take my medication. It knocks me right out.
Of course. If you can remember anything, give us a call.
I'll make sure to. Have a nice day.
You too, ma'am. She knows something.
Definitely.
She remembers everything about the fire, but doesn't remember the night before? I don't know about you, but I still remember when mi prima Maria stubbed her toe against the table for tamales.
You would think she'd remember more.
What's on your mind?
Something she said. If disappearing was something Barbeau did often, where did he go?
She said with his real mistress, or to the woods, or something.
She assumed. Let's see if we can get some. Detective Jordan. I'm working a cold... No. It wasn't in the reports. Understood. Yes. I understand. We'll be there in 20. That was the chief. He wants to see us.
Let's pray it isn't to rag at us again.
You want to see us?
Close the door behind you. Mind explaining to me why there have been some unauthorized charges to a DNA and prints test on a case that isn't in the books?
A book appeared on the steps of the police station.
Now you listen here, Carmen Sandiego.
Sir!
I don't know where on earth your mind is, but I can sure as hell tell you where it's going to be. And you, Mr. Cop without a cause, I don't give 3 damns, let alone one of your little side projects. You've got cases to fill and homicides to look into, or I'm pulling you for a suspension.
But sir...
Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
So that's it then. We leave it alone.
Nothing else we can do until we have a body now. Reopening cases are for the defense.
Mierda. Puta mierda. How is it we're able to get that bomb case and not this one?
Recent case, witnesses, local, and a risk to the public.
Hey, D. Al. Got something down in Little Italy. Murder. Looks like a drug deal gone wrong.
Can narcotics take care of this one?
We'll take a Guerrero.
Hey, that's it. We're just gonna...
When something more recent happens, we'll investigate it. For now, save it.
I'll save you some sugar skulls and tacos on when you get back, pretty boy.
¿Qué?
That's what you like, right? Maybe I'll have some nice medical examiner throw her weight around, see if she's all talk.
Leave it. He's not with the paperwork.
Fine, I'll be there in a moment.
As the dawn breaks and the sunrise paints a swirling Van Gogh-like vista across the morning sky. That's how he used to write. He met a new friend. A friend that I'd like to tell you about. He's important, so bear with me. On the outskirts of town is a woodland. His wife used to love walking out there. Years ago, before the kids were born. And before I brutally destroyed her with a carving knife on the kitchen floor. Anyway, I digress. Pierre Bloom was a woodsman who lived in the forest with his son, Tommy. Such a large building of a man. His muscles wielded his axe like a cane. The fur on his face made him look more bear than a man. His eyes... milky? No, that was after. They were green. Weren't they? They welcomed me into their home. A withered cabin who spoke in tongues probably older than either of us. Photos on the walls were practically dust constructed from dust, as the stench of dishes wreaked havoc on the living room. Whatever woman has come by was long gone. Long gone. Like he was. After returning from the bar, seeing his wife on the phone to someone he decided was another man. What else to do but to confront her? After a brief argument, Pierre beat his wife to death with the blunt end of his axe. I've heard there was paint. I've heard about red paint a lot. Who told me about it before? Anything else was left for the crows. Maybe Pierre is not as nice as I first thought. Only, he tells me he's haunted by his wife's spirit. Maybe I and Pierre aren't that different. A child's dream, I thought. Filled with dread. Gripping my neck. Stuffing my mouth with pills. Since he killed my wife and children, I'm seeing him more and more. My first night in the woods shook me at the snarls around 3 a.m. The darkened drapes cascade into smoke, suspended above the bed, staring at me with glowing eyes. My throat is filling up with pills. I can't scream. It is holding me down. Blood dripping on my face, forcing my eyes open with terror as my body freezes. The spirit knows what I've done, and I'm convinced it won't stop. Never stop. Can't stop. Shaking my body as I feel the fires blazing through my fingertips. This is it. This is my time. My eyes open, frozen, ice-cold chills rubbing down his body. The night was back, but the open door's light made.
Perrier Bloom. Hey, Aileen, it's me.
You're calling me on my day off? Are you
Look, I don't have time for that right now. I need to know if you have Perrier Bloom on file.
Sure. But, I can't share another case with you unless it's connected.
I know, but it might be connected to the book.
Speaking of which, I read a little further into those samples DeAngelo gave us, and there's something pretty weird about it.
¿Qué está?
The book starts out similar to Barbeau book, prose, flowery words, and all of that, but later the narrator's dialogue changes. It's constantly changing like this, like it's been written over the course of years.
Isn't that normal for writers?
It's not just the style, it's the perspective. He was at first referring to himself as the character talking to the audience, right? Then he starts losing his mind and starts being less flowery, more straight to the point, but somewhere around the end of the story, it switches for some reason. It switches from being first-person point of view to being just all over the place. It's first, then third, then second for some reason, third again.
A third person.
Diaz, get over here.
I'm coming! Listen, tell me later. Re-examine the body if you can.
And what are you going to do?
I've got someone who can possibly help.
Nothing too bad tonight on the police scanner. Anything on your end?
Nah, a thief here and there, but I already took care of it. Then again, it is a Wednesday. It's usually a slow day for crime. You got anything on that Barbeau book?
It's weird. I can see why your dad thought it was worth checking out, but they don't seem to be documenting their findings into the computer, so we can't see what they're seeing about the case.
What? That doesn't make any sense. Dad doesn't just let things like cases go.
Unless maybe someone told him to stop looking.
It's possible. He does whatever the chief tells him, and he knows better than to go against orders.
And you don't.
No, I'm too stubborn to know better.
I'm more or less hitting a wall with this stuff right now. This book is all over the place. At one point it's in the first person, and then it's in the second person, and then it's in the third person. It's like looking into the mind of a schizophrenic. I can't even tell who the characters are. Are you sure that this is a case and not just some twisted book club your dad's in?
Dad is a lot of things, but a book club enthusiast is close to him riding unicorns on the weekends.
Are you sure this is real?
I don't know. That's why I gave it to you, just in case.
Well, the cases that it's talking about are real. There was a fire with Larry Barbeau's family. He went into hiding and hasn't been seen since. The police said his alibi checked out. And it all seems pretty cut and dry, except this part about Pierre Bloom.
So what about him?
Pierre Bloom and his son have been missing for the past 3 years, which means the most recent entry in the book is here. There's no other description of the place other than it's in the woods and secluded. Not exactly a fit terrain for a downtown superhero.
Hey, you never know. I could be the downtown lumberjack if I worked it out a bit more.
You're nicely built and all, but an axe would break you like a twig.
Well, thank you. Wait, what? I might have something tonight. Keep me posted on the book.
Whoa, niño, cálmate.
What the? Officer Diaz?
Ah, so you remember me. Excellent. That makes this easier.
What are you doing here?
You're a hero around here. Lower level to the ones I'm used to back home. Regardless of a cultural difference, though, there's one thing you all have in common.
And that is?
You all have a chain assassination with rooftops!
He's got you there, and noise complaints.
Why are you looking for me?
I've got a little project for you. Larry Barbeau. Ring a bell?
The author?
Because my partner and I can't make it a priority, and I know that you can. My partner, he has a boy your age, and a wonderful wife. He doesn't want to lose his job over something like this. So, I'm asking you to help us so we can get the justice that these victims deserve.
You know, I'd only been introduced to my dad's partner, Alejandro Diaz, about a year ago, maybe more. My dad tolerates him and my mom indulges flirting. Though, there have been times where he walked away with a red mark on his cheek. He always seemed like a party guy, not a cop. Laid back, vain, man whore-esque. I always wondered why he joined the force. You know, you could be risking your badge by giving out the information to a private case.
The thing is that it isn't a case yet. All this information is off the books in open cases. Nothing to suggest you just look up online and research everything yourself.
Wait a minute. That's actually really smart. What makes you think I can trust you? Why are you trusting me with this stuff? Won't Officer Jordan be mad at you?
Whoa, ho, ho. One question at a time. I trust you because I know who you are.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's kinda obvious. Do you think I wouldn't have figured it out by now? It's been months since you've been playing cat and mouse with the police. The nighttime raids? Being one step ahead of the cops? Disappearing only to appear again elsewhere?
Oh no. How did he figure it out? Oh, I've been so careful. What's going to happen to me? He seems okay with me doing what I do, but what if he just turns me in? What if he spills it to Dad? Oh God, they're partners, right?
You're a vigilante.
Oh, thank goodness he's still an idiot. Well, obviously.
You thought I was going to reveal your secret identity, weren't you?
Not unless you know it.
Mi amigo, even if hypothetically I did know who you were, say I may have been looking into you for a bit, I would never reveal that in such public location.
We're on a roof.
The windows have eyes and walls have ears. Even if I did not know about your age, race, possible parents, addresses, and any accomplices you may or may not have, I would be legally obligated by the laws of Memphis to arrest you for verbal and physical assault, damage of public property, hindering investigation, yada yada yada. But under LA logic, I ask you, amigo, are you taking this case or not?
I look at the smug bastard's face. Was he bluffing? People usually tell way too many details so that they can get through a lie. My eyes glancing through the shades as my hands sweat in the gloves. This could be a trick. They've only known about me publicly for a few weeks now. Then again, Dad and him have known about me from close to the beginning. This back and forth went through my head longer than expected. At this point, Alejandro was just looking at me strangely. I could hear Tara finally speaking in my ear about how I was spacing out. So without thinking, I took the bag out of his hands.
Didn't mean to scare you so bad, Nino. Just think of me as your Commissioner Gordon, and you are my Batman. Hey, I even dressed the part for the occasion. Duty calls. Hello? Yes. Huh? I'll be right there in 10 minutes. Well, it looks like that... Well.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna,
No, yeah, I understand. Absolutely. I just thought that.
That what?
You would be gone sooner?
Well, I was going to just, what a cool exit kind of passed, didn't it?
Yeah, ruins the moment.
Yeah. Bye.
Adios. Look both ways before you cross the street. It's important. Oh, and your seatbelt.
Whoa, there is some heavy stuff in there. After that, I could use some floating Tim Curry. So, you finally got your Commissioner Gordon. Look at you moving up in the superhero world.
Yeah, here.
What's wrong?
I just kind of always thought that Dad would be my Gordon, It'd be like he was proud of me for doing what we do.
Honestly, I don't think your dad would ever be okay with what we do. We put our necks out on the line illegally and fight people who've killed other people or have tried to kill us. It's not exactly a peachy keen setup we've got here.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Hey, don't be like that. What, did an alien goop take over your suit? Do I have to send you flying through another beam to get you to snap out of it? Because I will do whatever it takes.
Hey, knock it off. I still got nightmares of that IT guy. Oh God, I see him now. The belts. So many belts. I can't take the eyeshadow. Please, comfort me. Giant bellows of doubt with your explosive personality. Or at least lack of one.
Oh no, what's that in the distance? It's the horrendous Ricky Nick. Quick, James, we have to hurry before we're defeated by the overwhelming whining. Okay. We have to get back to some work before you have to wake up for school tomorrow.
Why? Aren't you coming to school?
I just suddenly got hit with a terrible cold. I don't think I'll be able to make it to class tomorrow.
Right. So any new reports?
No, nothing the police can't handle, but I think we just got a hit on Larry Barbeau's old financial records.
Oh, I didn't know that you were into financials.
You're just lucky I'm a white hat hacker. The cabin in the woods that Larry had was apparently a timeshare.
Timeshare? So what? He had a vacation home in the woods. According to the notes, that's probably where he went missing weeks or even months at a time.
Here's the thing about timeshares. Yeah, you own them, but so do several other people, just like a kid in a divorce. You have to schedule your time on that property with the landlord, and apparently this landlord company was none too pleased about the state of things after Larry's stays there.
What kind of findings?
At first it was fairly normal. Extreme messes, broken glasses, that sort of stuff. Then it got weird. Maids complained about the messes on the walls, how every inch of it was covered in ink. There were also some noise complaints. Screaming, cursing. The report says satanic ritual abuse.
Tara? Why would you laugh at something like that?
Because satanic ritual abuse was disproven in the 2000s. There are cults, but it's not like the Mansons or that stuff. It's just like any other church or temple. Anyway, the records say that the timeshare is still registered under the same name and is still used today.
By who?
Footbook Publishing. Apparently, they give it to writers to get away from everyone to write.
Mr. Diaz, nice to see you again.
Mr. Foot, you failed to tell me about your private timeshare on the outskirts of the city.
Why would I need to?
Because we just found out about that being Barbeau's secret hideaway. We've already gotten a warrant to search our premise, and it did not look good. Especially not when we found all the trace blood on the walls.
Polly, call my lawyer. All right. have to admit, that was a great caller, man. Just hope that you don't get sent to IBA.
Hey, you got that drop on a crook. You got a drop on a crook.
Don't get too excited, Diaz. The DA still has to convict the bastard.
Are you kidding? Once that DNA swab test positive for the victim's blood, possibilities are endless. A 30-year-old case solved. And there's the DNA now. Hey!
Aileen, where you going?
You got the wrong guy.
Oh, come on. You cannot let me have this one victory? He owned the house Barbeau's were living at. He was getting insurance out of it. The books were selling out big, building his empire. We found Larry Barbeau's body under the floorboards. Motive means opportunity. A body! Might as well pin him for a Perrier Bloom since he was the former owner of the cabin resort. What more is there?
Well, unless your old 80-year-old big shot has had a sex change recently, I think you're out of luck.
What?
I looked into the files and some samples were still well preserved enough for a DNA or a fingerprint sample. Turns out that the blood is positive for being close to Barbeau's, but from a female relative.
Like a daughter? Could it have been a part of Mary?
Not likely. Different mother, same father.
Every other month, I think. He would take these long trips out in the woods, I think. About what to write next. My mother thought he was having an affair.
An affair? Wouldn't have been told with whom.
No. She never flat out said it, just kind of implied it. Back then, people were private about that kind of thing, and it was much easier to keep a secret like that from people.
That's what she was hiding.
What is it?
Diaz, come on.
Gee, way to keep me in the loop, guys.
Miss Daria, the police!
Dios mío.
We stood over her body, astonished at the sight. I had seen some crime scenes before, but never this fresh. The red painted the walls, much like the way the story had been written. No cuts, no bruises. She looked like she was alone. Not even the heating was on, as the cold air flew through the open windows. Matter dripped from the walls as books on the shelves were stained. The only color to come out from the grained scene was the bright red paint.
Jordan. She left a note. Dear children, neighbors, police, anyone who reads this, I am so sorry for all the pain I had caused. I'm sorry for the red paint that most likely now stains
my own like a scar. I've been sick for a long time. My passionate grip of my soul has known it for a long time. See, my childhood was all about as plain as it would seem, till you pulled up my sleeves or moved my collar. Bruised would make maps of my skin that you would never know. Was it the bullies? Was it the alcoholic? Slaps of a betwixt lover? Was it the denial of a happy home? I don't know. The ghosts of vengeance just always followed. Kill them, destroy them, make them suffer as you have. I tried to ignore it. I really did. Larry was so good to me, so kind. He let me help write his stories. They came out so beautifully. Together was like rivers of ink against a barren wasteland waiting for a story to quench its thirst. But then I noticed the letters. Their letters to each other. I confronted him. He said it was never going to happen. We were never going to be a family. We were too boring now. Life was getting exciting now. How could he have left me there, crying? His little girl just wanting terribly her father for affection, for love, something she wasn't getting at home. When the car left, the vengeance made me do it. The red paint on the wallpaper. No more crying, no more crying. He was going to get rid of them too when he was bored. It was mercy as well as revenge. I needed it. They needed it. I got away with it. 5 years after that wretched place he called his home, I confronted him again, and again and again, until his head became part of the staining in the floor. I never realized how dark red his blood was, how dark burgundy liquid seeped into the mahogany like old friends. He used to write so eloquently. He was happy in his home, his abusive wife, his neglectful children. Why wouldn't he see I cared? I cared enough to be the only person at his funeral. His only one. The last child. The good child. And for a while I was fine. I was a good girl. But something was wrong. My work, school, home, college. I couldn't process it all at once. I needed release. I needed to unleash the stress I've been put under. So another bit of paint after every bad grade on the test. The music of bones cracking under my boots after a beating. Most killers start with dogs and cats, and whatever they can find. Peaked too early. It wasn't until my grandchildren came did I feel the urges again. The stress of this new generation heavily bringing me to my knees. The things I've thought about, the things I've almost done to them. I need help. But since you've been too late to read my confession, read my detailed account, I'll leave you with these.
It just keeps going from there. Apology after apology. Talking about everything she's done, the kill count has to be insanity.
Don't touch anything else. I'll call it in.
Let me understand my situation. Okay, Tara found out there was something going on with the DNA, which linked it to a female around 16, around the time of the murder. The only one who still lives in Memphis was Heather Daria. I thought to see her, to see if she had some answers, for what was being done. I should have known. I should have known that it was odd for her to have the windows open. The moon showed the light inside the room with the help of the candles. Before I stepped in, seeing notes on the floor and the old woman finding me there, a gun in her hand as she stared at me in shock. She screamed at me for a while, but she never shot at me. She only pointed it to her head promisingly, telling me that I wasn't real, that I needed to stop. Then all over the floor, red, dark red blood, red against the oak grain, like it was crawling towards me. I couldn't even scream. I couldn't look. I couldn't stop looking until I heard the crash. I ran without thinking. I took the Spectre mobile and now I'm here? How'd I get here?
James?
I don't know what happened. She told me I wasn't taking her. Why would she?
Read this.
I can't say that you would know him any different from a reaper, with his dark cloak in the night. I don't think I could tell you the difference other than the feeling of being judged beyond the understanding of God. You just know. You know his darkness fills the night under the palest moonlight. The only thing you can see is the yellow eyes in the faceless spirit. It's come to avenge those who I've taken out my sorrows and pain. He will bring me to my death, but I must do so before he can.